A restaurant manager humiliated a veteran biker on his anniversary. 48 Brothers made sure he learned what respect really means. It happened on a quiet Saturday evening, the kind of night most people would forget by the next morning. But for one man, it became a lesson the entire city would remember. The Redwood Crown Steakhouse sat at the edge of downtown, known for its expensive cuts of meat, candlelit tables, and strict sense of image. Reservations were booked weeks in advance. The kind of place where managers believed appearances mattered more than people. That night, the restaurant was full. Soft music floated through the room. Wine glasses clinked. Conversation stayed low and polite. Robert Stone Gallagher walked in holding his wife's hand. Stone was 66 years old, a retired Army infantryman, a Vietnam veteran who carried shrapnel in his leg and memories he rarely spoke about. He had been riding motorcycles for more than 40 years and wore his leather vest the way other men wore suits. He had been married to his wife, Linda, for 41 years. Linda had chosen the restaurant carefully. She wanted white tablecloths, candles, and a place that felt special. After decades of raising children, working long hours, and surviving life's quieter battles, she wanted one evening that felt like a reward. Stone wore dark jeans, clean boots, and his leather vest. The vest carried army patches, club colors, and memorial pins stitched carefully by hand over the years. Each one represented a brother, a memory, or a promise kept. Linda wore a soft green dress Stone had bought weeks earlier and hidden in the closet like a secret. They stepped inside, smiling. The hostess greeted them warmly and reached for the reservation book. That's when the manager appeared. His name was Andrew Collins, 33 years old, recently promoted, educated, ambitious, and deeply convinced that his job was to protect the restaurant's brand. Andrew's eyes landed on Stone's vest and stayed there. His smile faded. He stepped in front of the hostess and politely, but loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, said there was a problem. He explained that the restaurant enforced a strict dress policy and that motorcycle gang attire was not permitted in the dining room. Stone listened patiently. He explained that he was not part of a gang. He explained that the patches represented his military service and his motorcycle club. He mentioned that they had a reservation and that it was their anniversary. Andrew nodded, then smiled in a way that never reached his eyes. He repeated that rules were rules. He said other guests might feel uncomfortable. Then he added that Stone might be better suited dining somewhere more casual, perhaps outdoors, where people like him usually felt at home. Someone at a nearby table stopped chewing. Linda felt her chest tighten. Stone remained calm and said they would not cause trouble. He said they only wanted to eat the dinner they had planned for weeks. Andrew leaned slightly closer and lowered his voice just enough to make it sting. He said if Stone insisted on wearing that vest, he could eat outside near the service entrance. He joked that animals were usually kept away from the main dining area for a reason. The room went silent. Forks paused. Glasses froze mid-air. Linda stared at Andrew, stunned. In over 4 decades of marriage, she had never seen anyone speak to her husband with that kind of contempt. She tried to speak. Andrew raised a hand to stop her and waved for security. 2 guards approached slowly. They saw the patches. They saw Stone's age. They saw the way he stood straight despite the limp. They hesitated. Stone gently placed his hand on Linda's back. He thanked the hostess quietly for her time. Then he turned and walked out, holding his wife's hand, refusing to give Andrew the satisfaction of a scene. Andrew watched them leave and returned to the floor as if nothing had happened. The drive home was silent. Linda cried, not because of the ruined dinner, but because she had watched the man she loved be stripped of dignity in front of strangers. A man who had served his country, raised a family, and lived quietly without asking for praise. That night, Stone made one phone call. He didn't call a lawyer. He didn't post online. He didn't ask for revenge. He called his club president and told him exactly what happened. By midnight, every member of the Iron Ridge Brotherhood knew the story. By morning, other clubs had reached out. Men Stone had ridden with decades earlier. Veterans who recognized the pattern immediately. An emergency meeting was called. 48 riders showed up. They didn't shout. They didn't talk about violence. They didn't talk about retaliation. They talked about doing things the right way. The first step was truth. One member began digging into Andrew Collins' employment history. It didn't take long to find problems. Andrew had been let go from 2 previous restaurants after complaints of discrimination. One involved mocking an older customer's appearance. Another involved refusing service to a disabled man he claimed made the dining room uncomfortable. Both incidents had been quietly settled. Another member reviewed Andrew's public social media accounts. The posts were worse. He mocked bikers, veterans, and blue-collar workers openly. He referred to them as uneducated and dangerous, claiming businesses should keep them away from respectable clientele. Meanwhile, others contacted veteran organizations and local journalists. A Vietnam veteran humiliated on his wedding anniversary was not a story anyone wanted to ignore. On Monday morning, the story broke. By Monday night, it was everywhere. Then the video surfaced. A customer had recorded the entire exchange from across the room. Andrew's words played clearly. The comment about animals, Linda's shaking hands, Stone's quiet exit. Public reaction was immediate and fierce. The steakhouse's review pages collapsed under one-star ratings. Phone lines rang non-stop. Reservations were cancelled by the hundreds, but the bikers were not finished. On Friday evening, during the restaurant's busiest hours, 48 motorcycles parked legally across the street. Engines off, lines clean and orderly. The riders stood silently beside them, wearing their vests. They did not block entrances. They did not shout slogans. They did not approach customers. They simply stood there. Their signs were simple and clear. Veterans deserve respect. This is not gang clothing. Dignity is not optional. News cameras arrived within the hour. Customers stopped, watched, and asked questions. The riders answered calmly and honestly. Many diners turned around and left. The demonstration continued every night for a week. Local businesses brought water and food. Veterans joined them. Families shook hands and thanked Stone for his service. Inside the restaurant, chaos unfolded. Revenue dropped sharply. Staff began quitting. Corporate leadership launched an investigation they could no longer avoid. Andrew insisted he had done nothing wrong. He claimed he was protecting the restaurant's image and blamed the bikers for organizing harassment. The investigation told a different story. Corporate uncovered Andrew's past complaints, his hidden settlements, and his public posts, mocking the very people who supported the restaurant industry. On the 9th day, Andrew Collins was fired. He was escorted out through the back entrance while cameras waited out front. But the bikers stayed. They wanted accountability, not just termination. The company's CEO flew in personally. Standing beside Stone and Linda, he apologized publicly for the humiliation and acknowledged the failure in leadership. He announced a company-wide policy welcoming veterans and banning discrimination based on appearance or background. He offered Stone compensation. Stone accepted it on one condition. Every dollar would go to local homeless veterans. 6 months later, Stone and Linda returned to the Redwood Crown Steakhouse. This time, the manager greeted them personally and escorted them to the best table in the house. The room was warm. The candles were lit. The ocean of noise faded into something gentle. Outside, 48 motorcycles waited, not as a protest, but as a quiet show of respect. Linda cried again that night, but this time it was from relief and pride. The restaurant became known for its veteran-friendly policies and community outreach. Andrew Collins quietly disappeared from the industry. Stone still wears his vest everywhere he goes, because some people see leather and assume trouble. Others understand it represents service, loyalty, and a brotherhood that never forgets what respect truly means. And 48 brothers made sure the world learned that lesson.